Welcome to week one, folks, and shall we say congratulations to San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Jauan Jennings for signing a revised new one-year deal to stay in San Francisco and to give him some more money in the meantime. And this is how it was all going to wrap up, how it was all going to end, with Jauan Jennings staying in San Francisco for at least one more year. And it kind of ties in with what Kyle Shanahan was saying earlier today with the San Francisco 49ers wanting to re-sign Jauan Jennings and bring him back long-term. But this was the most obvious solution, the resolution to the problem they were having of simply what is going to happen with Jauan Jennings. He gets a brand new one-year contract. They tack on $3 million of incentives. They raise his incentives from around $7.5 million. Now he can reach with the new incentives just north of $10 million. So Jauan Jennings gets a brand new deal. It's a big celebration. We're all happy for Jauan, all happy for San Francisco, because there was some questions as to, was Jauan going to be, full participant in practice in the game on Sunday against the Seahawks, or was he going to be limited? It certainly feels like Jauan Jennings will be 100% going into Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks. And for San Francisco, they get a fully committed Jauan Jennings for one last season. Now, the door is open for him to be re-signed at the end of the year or later on in the season in case they want to revisit things. But this sets up San Francisco and Jauan, in my opinion, perfectly for the remainder of the year. San Francisco gets Jauan fully committed for one final year of his contract, gets their receiver number 2 back, a phenomenal run blocker, a big-bodied slot receiver, locked in for one more year. I do think Jauan inevitably leaves in the offseason for greener pastures. Maybe he gets paid that $20+ million in which he seems to have wanted from San Francisco. Adam Schefter also added that Jauan Jennings did turn down a multi-year deal from the 49ers, so we don't know exactly what financials were exchanged, but clearly they were much below Jauan's target asking price. But a good deal for San Francisco, a good deal for Jauan, who also gets to hit free agency during the offseason and maybe gets paid big money. So overall, a great deal for San Francisco, a great deal for Jauan Jennings. And again, leading into week one, you have questions at wide receiver. Do you like MVS enough? I know I don't. The drops are serious. The route running is questionable. He'll have 2 good games a year, and we'll all say, here's MVS. And then he's absent the next 15, a ghost, if you will. Then you have Russell Gage, who really hasn't been a key contributor since his days in Atlanta early in his career. And you have Sky Moore, who has never, ever been a key contributor in his time with the Chiefs, now with San Francisco. So with the questions you had, the Niners and Jauan can put the negotiations behind them. The shot that was taken from Kyle towards Jauan and Drew Rosenhaus during his press conference today of like, I wish guys would just know this is business, and sometimes business leads to deals not getting done. Well, we are witnessing now what happens when business gets put aside, emotions and ego get put aside. This is the perfect deal for the San Francisco 49ers. If Jauan balls out, he gets $10.5 million. That likely means you're having a career year for Jauan alongside the returning Brandon Ayuk, an emergent Demarcus Robinson once he's back from suspension, and an emergent Ricky Pearsall in year number 2. Having 4 legitimate wide receivers is a massive get for San Francisco. And if those guys can stay healthy, they now have guys with very unique skill sets. Ayuk off the injury, press man coverage beater. Pearsall, a man coverage beater. Demarcus Robinson, somewhat of a deep threat, but kind of like Jauan Jennings, a bigger body wideout that can go downfield on deep crossers towards the sideline. A contested catch guy on top of that. Then you add in Jauan in there. Bigger body dude. Purdy, who sometimes likes to high point the football, go up and get a receiver for you. Again, a perfect deal for the San Francisco 49ers, a team that really has a lot of questions offensively coming into the season. Can CMC stay healthy? Who is George Kittle going to be this year? Is he going to be an All-Pro, the Hall of Famer, or with the reliant of him Will you see his production dip? My assumption is we'll see All-Pro George Kittle, but they have some questions. Can guys stay healthy? Jauan was one of those guys. Can he stay healthy? Will he be active for week one? He comes back to practice this week, gets paid. A great thing for Jauan Jennings and the San Francisco 49ers. Niner Goat 16 asks here, can Jennings play defensive tackle for Collins? Because we need to stop the dang run. I mean, you can try. You can try to have Jauan Jennings out there play defensive tackle. Probably wouldn't fare well for the 49ers, but you know what? Why not? Jauan's a heck of a player, physical dude. I'm sure at some point Jauan could probably play some free safety or some strong safety if he had to. He's a darn good player. He's a darn good wide receiver. And the one thing you love about this deal is it almost calms that locker room. Where Jauan, for as great as he is, for the impact he has on the field, getting Brock Purdy, one of his top targets, back in the fray, one thing Jauan is great at is Jauan is somebody that, in my opinion, can calm the locker room and help the offense, the young guys around him, even the defensive guys maybe, when things go awry, calm them down, get them settled, or when the offense is struggling, got to have a big pick-me-up, Jauan becomes a reliable third down target where this offense can go to him when the offense is, whether it's stuck in the mud, isn't moving the football. Here comes Jauan Jennings. Big play on third down, carrying defenders for about 5 or 6 yards downfield, 4 pivotal first downs. They call him third and Jauan, but really it's first and Jauan at sometimes. He's just so good at what he does on offense. The touchdowns last year, I think he had 6, nearly 1,000 yards. The Niners needed Jauan out there, albeit not to the extent of a Christian McCaffrey, but he was an important piece to the offense. And now you walk into week one against the Seattle Seahawks, having what seems to be what they expected to be their assumed starting offense to begin the season. I'm going to put a tweet out really fast, so stick with me here. The one person watching live, I really appreciate you. I believe it's Niner Goat 16 out there hanging out. Hope you're having a great night. And yes, again, if Jauan can play defensive tackle and earn more incentives, why not? Why not? If you are the San Francisco 49ers, man, Jauan is a great player, a great person. And ultimately, San Francisco won. They won the negotiation. San Francisco finally won a negotiation. They lost Ayuk's, they lost Nick Bosa's, they lost Christian McCaffrey's, they lost Trent Williams. They finally won a negotiation, that being with or in regards to the Jauan Jennings contract. They did not balk, they didn't blink, they won this deal. And good on San Francisco. Good on San Francisco. They had every reason to not pay Jauan Jennings this year. Really, he's not someone worthy of $25 million a year. He really isn't somebody worthy of, I don't know, $18 million a year. Jauan is not a number 2 wide receiver. He is on this team currently, but Jauan smartly bit the bullet, bet on himself in an offense where for the first 10 weeks or so, he'll be one of the primary targets as a receiving threat. So this is a good deal for both sides. This deal makes the most sense for San Francisco. It makes the most sense for Jauan Jennings. Honestly, it's a best of both worlds deal for both parties. And really, only $10.5 million for 1 year of Jauan Jennings, and that's a maybe. Like if Jauan goes down, hope he doesn't, but if he does, San Francisco loses literally nothing by doing this 1 year incentive-based deal. Like, they gain everything. If Jauan balls out, great, go get paid. Give us the compensation pick in return, probably a 3rd or 4th round draft pick, and we'll replace you. We'll find the next guy. And really, this to me ends the future of Jauan Jennings in San Francisco. I know I said earlier, maybe it opens the door for a renegotiation, but really, this looks like we tried to bring you back. It wasn't going to work. Here's some incentives to make you happy and play for us. Meanwhile, Colt McKivitz, come on down. We want to get you paid. That's why Kyle made that point today. It was almost like a moving of the page, a turning of the page of like, yeah, we tried Jauan. Hey, Colton, You want a deal or not? That seemed like that's what it was. Niner Goat 16 says here in the YouTube chat, this feels like 2018. Hopefully, we hit on some rookies. Cap space and solid roster might make 2026 look like 2019. I will tell you this. We never truly got to see what San Francisco looked like in 2018. Don't forget, they won 2 games that year, I believe. 2 or 4 games. I think they were 2-14 that year. It wasn't pretty. That was the Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard season. Wasn't great, but it led them to Nick Bosa. This team should be a heck of a lot better than 2018. And if they're not, then my goodness, what a freaking disaster. But this to me feels more like really there is no year of this regime to compare this to. I think if anything, although this team is worse than that team, the 2021 team, that's what this team feels like. A team that kind of, doesn't have a lot going for it. They coming off a really torn down year. You have some question marks as to health. You have some question marks as to who's the key offensive player. In that year was Deebo Samuel with the emergence of Ayuk and Jauan Jennings and Elijah Mitchell. But you had some question marks. That this team feels more like that team. Obviously, the defense is different by a wide margin, but I think if you were to compare teams, I wouldn't use 2018. This may be a unique year for San Francisco as a whole. Really, agreeing to a new deal. Like and sub. Okay. Tweety's out. I have a fantasy draft in 30 minutes. Let's get this ball rolling. 49ers Throwback says, hit like and subscribe. That's true. If you're watching now or later, hit like and subscribe to the show. Hope you're enjoying the show. Hope you'll stick around as we build towards week 1 of the NFL season. But today we celebrate. We have no idea what beholds us on Friday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday as we await kickoff between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. But we do know what happened today. That being Jauan Jennings signing a new 1-year deal with the San Francisco 49ers to include about $3.5 million more of incentives on his contract. It was a great deal for San Francisco and a great deal for Jauan Jennings. Niner Goat 16 says, Shanahan and his offense really need to show up in a Super Bowl. His offense is averaging 21 points in Super Bowls. Not good enough. Well, usually you are playing the best defense in football or one of the best teams in football. And unfortunately for Kyle Shanahan, he has matched up against his kryptonite in Steve Spagnuolo, who just knows how to hold Shanahan's offense in check. But I agree with you. I also don't think it's a point issue. Obviously, points, you score more, you win. But I think it's an execution issue in pivotal moments. Third downs, key third downs. You're in the red zone. Can you punch it in or get a field goal? San Francisco really has had a hard time in the red zone or holding on to leads. That's the big thing. Can you get 24 points? Can you get 26 points? Can you get 27 points? Can you put the nail in the coffin? San Francisco never, ever has put the nail in the coffin in a Super Bowl under Kyle Shanahan. I thought that Jair Brown interception, Patrick Mahomes was going to be it. I said this team is too good to waste this lead. Lo and behold, they don't score or they get a field goal and they can't win. That's what a wasted opportunity looks like if you are the San Francisco 49ers. It's not good. It's not great. It really, really, really not great. I'm looking at some of the quotes and tweets coming out of the Adam Schefter tweet in regards to the Jauan Jennings thing, because some fans have their opinions on the Jauan Jennings things as I move things around here for us on the show. Forgive me for getting this thing all set up. Here we go. That's not what I want. Here we go. You can see me here. Parlay Prodigy says, should have been a Jet. I don't think there were ever rumors of Jauan Jennings going to the Jets. Let's see what else we have here. Jacobia says, a win-win, I guess. You guess? This is a win-win bar none. And of course, Astoban, which probably is a bot, says, why are you reporting this as it matters? Well, for Niner fans, it matters, baby. For Niner fans, this is it for Niner fans. This is the holy grail of deals coming into week 1 of the NFL season. There were so many questions as to what was going to happen with Jauan. Was he going to play? Was he not going to play? Thankfully, Jauan Jennings is going to play this week against the Seattle Seahawks. And after signing a new deal, it does make me believe that that Jauan's calf injury was just not a ploy, but like folks were saying, oh, my calf hurts. My calf hurts. I'm not going to play. Whereas Jauan's like, I just want to get paid, dude. If you pay me, you can also play me. Lori Matthews says here in the YouTube chat, I love these incentive type deals. Gives him more motivation to have a good season, and it's good for the team to play. It's a great point. Incentives always, or not always, but sometimes make people want to push themselves to have great years and hopefully succeed more. And I think San Francisco, again, is a winner in this. Yes, you can talk about, maybe the 49ers putting themselves in kind of a hole with how they dealt with this. But honestly, I think it was a good thing for them. They held themselves out, and I think they got themselves the deal they actually wanted all along. And you're right, Lori. Pushing Jauan to be the best type of Jauan is a good thing because San Francisco really needs Jauan to show out this year. And if you're Jauan, you show out, you're going to get paid a lot of money. So good to see him get his money this year for 1 year, but also hopefully in the offseason can net San Francisco a pretty nice compensation pick. Joseph DiBartolo says, I wish I would have drafted Jauan Jennings with Deebo Samuel gone. I don't think this makes Jauan a fantasy football darling by any means. Like, is Jauan going to catch 1,000 yards this year? Maybe, 6 to 8 touchdowns. I can see that, but I don't know. I don't think getting Jauan back now with the money in the new deal does change his fantasy football outlook, but maybe I'm wrong. Fleazy says he's not worth it. That you're wrong. How is Jauan Jennings not worth $10.5 million per year when in fact he wanted 20? You got Jauan Jennings roughly at half the price of what he was asking for. I know it's 1 year. It isn't a long-term deal, but that's kind of the best thing for San Francisco, right? A discounted Jauan Jennings and a motivated and discounted Jauan Jennings. It's not that bad. Niner Goat 16 says, if you're doing good midseason, what are the chances that we make trades to get that Super Bowl this year? Well, it would be dependent on the position of need. I do think San Francisco might be smart this year to find deals like Charles Omenihu, like Jordan Willis, small deals that may not pay dividends now, but in a year's time, guys who are under contract for a handful of years, which are hard deals to come by, taking a chance on guys like that. They tried that last year with Khalil Davis. It didn't work very well. He wasn't that good. He actually retired after the season, but I think you're not going to have San Francisco go trade for Randy Gregory and Chase Young. You're going to have San Francisco make, deals for guys under team control for a handful of seasons, and hopefully that can pay off when it's all said and done. Now that a couple of you guys are in here, I want to remind you that Jauan Jennings signed a brand new deal. A brand new 1 year, basically $10.5 million contract, which has about $4 million in incentives in it. And Lori Matthews says Arden Key was another one, even Quan Alexander in 2019. You're right. Even Quan was traded to the Saints for a draft pick. So San Francisco clearly likes to wheel and deal their way. Defy G says, does this make San Francisco better? Yeah, doesn't make them worse. And George Goyd, we know what that means, says booty cheeks. Well, that's where you're wrong. It's not booty cheeks because Jauan Jennings is incredible. NFL-ish says this is one of the worst wide receiver rooms in the NFL. Is that true? Do you guys think the San Francisco 49ers have one of the worst wide receiver rooms in the NFL? I mean, Ricky Pearsall, unproven, but from our eyes, looks pretty good. Jauan Jennings, coming off a near 1,000-yard season last year. Are they assuming it's not going to have Ayuk and Demarcus Robinson? Okay. The next three guys aren't very good, so maybe that's the case. But calling San Francisco, maybe right now they do have the worst wide receiver room in the NFL, which maybe it's the high potential and a very low floor that kind of sets it apart. But man. Imagine telling Niner fans, Hayden says Jauan lost his leverage after getting hurt. It's hard to disagree with that if you believe he was hurt. I think last week was clearly Jauan's last week of leverage, hence why he came back to practice, hence why, as Adam Schefter reports, that once Jauan came back from his deal or from the injury, things got done. Things got done pretty quickly for Jauan Jennings that, as soon as you come back to practice and your agent and you can come to the table, usually things get done. And I think for Jauan, that's what happens and look, we've seen it countless times with Brandon Ayuk and other guys like that. When you see guys come back to practice and come back to the rooms and stick around, when you have guys involved in the meetings and don't, go on social media and tweet things and go on podcasts and are willing to play ball, San Francisco actually is pretty easy to deal with. Now, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes the initial pushback of like, we're not giving you $20 million a year and you're not worth that to us, can be startling and can push guys away. Hence why Debo and Ayuk and Kittle and Nick have all said, they're not the easiest guys to deal with. But what you notice is when it comes down to it, when push comes to shove, San Francisco is usually always willing to play ball. And funny enough, I was on with Larry Krueger, Pig in a Pickle Krug show, a couple days ago. And he said, talking to his kid, San Francisco always folds. I want to ask you guys, is this San Francisco folding and paying Jauan Jennings? I don't think so. I think this is Jauan folding and San Francisco finally getting a win with the contract negotiations. Imagine the news. Your reaction if San Francisco signed Jauan to a 3-year, let's say $60 million deal. $20 million per year. You're probably not going to have the best reaction, the most positive response. It's not going to be like, yay, we signed Jauan. We're happy. It's going to be like, okay. I mean, cool, but it's a little much. I think San Francisco wins here. If you can turn Jauan Jennings into a 3rd-round pick or a 4th-round pick next year as a 7th rounder in 2021, you're in a really good space. For the 49ers. And look, you don't want to lose Jauan. You love Jauan. He has that San Francisco 49ers mentality, the way he plays. But when it comes to a roster construction standpoint, that is a move to be applauded by San Francisco. Drafting Jauan, having him explode onto your scene in 2021, a couple of big time clutch touchdowns against the Rams in Week 18, grows into a near Super Bowl MVP, outperforms your highest paid wide receivers and tight end, Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk in the Super Bowl. You pay him a large chunk of change, and then he leaves after a couple of years with the team, and you turn him into a 4th or 5th round draft pick, which San Francisco, unfortunately, hasn't had the best luck of turning those guys into good players, but you never know. Maybe that move is made to go get somebody else one day, or maybe that move is moved to package up picks and go get a better offensive tackle, to replace Jauan himself, to maybe go get a edge rusher or another cornerback or a safety. You just never know what that deal can come into. And knowing this next draft class is supposed to have a really good offensive line class and prospects, maybe Jauan is flipped, or the compensation pick becomes your next right tackle, your next left guard, your next center. We all know how much we all hate Jake Brendel. Maybe losing Jauan leads to having an improved offensive line for your franchise quarterback. It's never a bad thing. So losing Jauan, which I think it's going to happen inevitably, I don't think is a bad thing for San Francisco. But I think, you have to pay guys you believe you can't lose. And I think for this year, San Francisco viewed Jauan as a guy they couldn't lose, knowing you're not going to have Robinson and knowing Ayuk is going to be out for 8 to 10 weeks or so. But next year, San Francisco can really afford to lose Jauan Jennings. Whether you like that or not, that's the truth. San Francisco can afford to lose Jauan Jennings. Not this year, hence why I got paid, but next year. Lori Matthews says here in the YouTube chat, if I can read this off for you guys and uncover myself, that didn't work very well. You can only pay your most important players. Let's do this. There we go. You can only pay your most important players max money, reward the others for a job well done. If they overplay their deals, let them go. Exactly, Lori. We're on the same wavelength, girl. You get me. You get me so well. Lori Matthews says, would love a real center. Yeah. You lose Jauan in 1 year's time, replace Jake Brendel. Give Brock Purdy something to work with, please. Please. We need that to happen. We need that to happen during the offseason. Let's see if there's anything else on Twitter in these comments. Probably going to find some inappropriate things, as we always do. But let's see. Hopefully nothing is too bad. I will hopefully try to move it around and avoid those things, but you never know. Footballholics says, finally, my Niners don't get fleeced in a contract negotiation. Yeah. Finally, San Francisco doesn't blink. They don't give in, and they may have just won themselves their first negotiation. Like Purdy got paid, Kittle got paid, even Jennings got paid. But it was bargain bin money. If the report by Tim Kawakami is true, and San Francisco was indeed, or Jauan Jennings was indeed asking for 20, if not 20 plus more $1 million, to turn that into 10 and a half, maybe in incentives this year, and then a compensation pick, you win. That is a win for San Francisco in the long run. I really think San Francisco, let's see if we can search Jauan Jennings and see what comes up here. Anything important that comes up, any big things, nothing really that big, any big takeaways. Adam Schefter, his report says, once Jauan got healthy and began recovering from his calf injury, negotiations with the San Francisco 49ers picked up and resulted in an agreement. He turned down a multi-year deal to do a 1-year deal, bet on himself, and become a free agent after this season. And Heath Cummings tweets this, seems like a good day to post this. And maybe this goes back into the point about Jennings being a fantasy football darling, that Jauan Jennings last year, in the last 7 games of the season, which had a healthy Ricky Pearsall, mind you, albeit not a year 2 Pearsall, but a healthy Ricky Pearsall, had a 25.6% share of the targets, more than George Kittle and more than Ricky Pearsall. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Jauan Jennings is San Francisco's best wide receiver. You can see him here getting healthy, moving extremely well on David Lombardi's tweet. I mean, my goodness, Jauan, he don't look hurt to me. Looks pretty healthy if you ask me. We can go back and play it again. Look at that. Ain't no calf problems. He's perfectly fine. That calf don't hurt no more. Jauan said, oh, I'm getting paid. I'm healthy now. Here we come. But good for Jauan. Gonna play this week against, there's my tweet there. Let's go ahead and repost that. There you go. But Jauan really, and I think Nick Wagoner, one of the best in the business, sums it up perfectly here. I'll zoom in for you on X. Niners and Jauan Jennings were never likely to find a match long-term. So adding incentives for this year was always felt like the most reasonable solution. Jennings adds $3 million to what could earn this year, and then will hit free agency in the offseason. Yeah, it's all about how you win. It's all about how you can maximize your value. And Jauan Jennings, for the lack of, let's say, a long-term deal, maximized his value this offseason. Now, again, it wasn't $25 million a year, but ultimately, Jauan got paid. his hair on Thursday's practice, the walkthrough, should be green. It should be green. Take the blue out, take the red out. It should be green. Jauan has earned and deserves that money by far. But what do you make of Jauan Jennings' deal? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Are you a fan of it? Do you think San Francisco needed to pay Jauan? Are you in the camp of saying, no, let him sit out? He hasn't earned the money. I think Jauan's earned the money. I think he's a darn good football player. I think Jauan is one of the best in the business when it comes to going up and getting the football and bringing things home for San Francisco. Happy for him and happy that San Francisco finally can pay one of their guys, but also win a negotiation in the process. So tell me down below what you make of Jauan Jennings' brand new 1-year contract, can make up to $10.5 million this year. Did San Francisco cave? I don't think they did, but tell me down below what you think of the deal. Do you agree with the deal? Do you dislike the deal somehow? Or are you just happy to have Jauan Jennings locked and loaded in for one final season, or at least what seems like to be a final season with the red and gold? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe down below. You can follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X or Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. And use promo code right here, 49ersaccess, 49ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. I want to thank everybody in the YouTube chat, all the tweets we read, all the reactions we had, and everybody listening at home or on the go. You guys are great. Like, share, and subscribe. And as always, my name is Sterling Bennett. The build to week 1 continues tomorrow as we preview Niners versus the Seattle Seahawks. Who will come out on top? My predictions drop tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. And as always, stay faithful.